What's up, it's Cinema Shogun here, and over the past couple of days, I've had people messaging me saying that they've noticed weird activity in Washington, D.C., and that they've noticed weird activity around the U.S. Capitol buildings. Well, I think I may know why people have been noticing this strange activity. It looks like the folks in Washington, D.C. are getting prepared. They're getting ready for something big. And tonight, around 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, the U.S. military, the FBI, Secret Service, CIA, Capitol Police, you name it, they're all about to have a massive training exercise right in the U.S. Capitol. Apparently, they're doing a planned simulation of an attack on the U.S. Capitol and various buildings in Washington, D.C. Now, I don't know why they're doing this. I don't know if they know something that we don't know. I mean, we are heading into another election soon. I don't know what they're getting prepared for. Obviously, we've had a lot of protests, a lot of pro-Palestine protests happening right outside of the White House. They've even been outside of Joe Biden's house. There's a lot of unrest in the streets in Washington, D.C. right now. We have this war going on over in the Middle East, and I know there's a threat of potential attacks right here in America, so I'm wondering if that's why they're having this training exercise. I want to know what they know that they're not telling us, because there's obviously a reason as to why they're doing this. But when you look around the country, there has been these various weird kind of secretive training exercises happening all over the place. A few months ago, they had this massive training exercise in Houston, Texas, basically conducting a simulation of what would happen if a nuclear bomb dropped on Houston, Texas. So I don't know what's going on here, but the U.S. Capitol Police put out this tweet earlier today. Sunday, November 19th, starting at 4 a.m., we will be conducting a training exercise with our military partners on Capitol grounds. Please do not be alarmed if you see emergency vehicles. And here is some further information about what's going to be happening. This contingency exercise by the D.C. Capitol Police and elements of the U.S. military is a planned simulation of a potential attack on the U.S. Capitol. The exercise is intended to test the readiness and coordination of the law enforcement and military forces that are responsible for protecting the Capitol and its surroundings. The exercise is also meant to demonstrate the commitment and resolve of the U.S. government to defend its democracy and institutions from any threats. The exercise will involve the participation of the D.C. National Guard, the U.S. Capitol Police, the Metropolitan Police Department, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Department of Homeland Security, and several other federal and local agencies. The exercise will simulate various scenarios, such as a violent mob breaching the Capitol perimeter, planting explosive devices, taking hostages, and engaging in armed confrontation with security forces. The exercise will also include the use of helicopters, armored vehicles, and emergency vehicles, as well as the activation of the continuity of government plan, which ensures the continuity of the essential functions of the federal government in the event of a crisis. The exercise is scheduled to take place November 19th at 4 a.m. on the grounds of the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. The exercise is expected to last for several hours and will cause some disruptions and noise in the nearby neighborhoods. The residents of the areas adjacent to the National Mall are advised to stay indoors and avoid unnecessary travel during the exercise. The exercise is not open to the public or the media, and the access to the Capitol complex will be restricted. The exercise organizers have assured that the exercise is not a response to any specific or credible threat, but rather a routine and precautionary measure to enhance the security and preparedness of the U.S. Capitol. Let's stop right there. They're claiming that this is not a response to any threat. That this is just a usual, normal exercise. Okay, all right. Well, then how come you haven't done this usual, normal exercise at any other point? Over the last few years, I didn't hear anything about these exercises. I've never heard of an exercise like this one. Now, I'm not saying that this has not happened before. Maybe it has, but in recent history, I can't really remember a training exercise this big happening in the U.S. Capitol, at our Capitol buildings. You know what I mean? So I fully do believe that it's in response to something. What that something is, I don't know, because there's so much stuff happening in the world right now. Obviously, we got the war in Ukraine. Now we got the war with Israel. We got war right here at home with opposing sides clashing in the streets all the time. I know that they just released the January 6th tapes. What was that, like yesterday or the day before? And now they're doing this exercise. Is this a virtue signal? Is this them trying to distract people from the January 6th tapes? Is this a warning that, hey, we're going to be ready if another one happens? Is this something to do with the foreign threat? Nobody knows. No one really knows. All we know is that they're shutting down Washington, D.C. at 4 o'clock in the morning, and they're having this massive exercise that involves police departments, military, FBI, you name it. They got helicopters, armored vehicles. It's obvious that they're preparing for something big, or at the very least, this exercise is an exercise for them to get ready for something big. You know what I mean? It's not like a little breach of the U.S. Capitol that they're getting ready for when you got Apache helicopters and armored vehicles and the FBI and the U.S. military and the Coast Guard and all of these people here. You know what I mean? So I say the Coast Guard, but you know what I mean. But anyways, I'm really wondering why this is happening. If you guys are in the area and you're able to capture any video footage of this, send it to me on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, because I'm interested in seeing how these exercises go. What are they really doing during these exercises? And for them to say that this is just, you know, a usual run-of-the-mill exercise, there's nothing to see here, this isn't a response to anything, I find that so hard to believe. Let's be completely honest here. Look at the timing of this. You're telling me that you just decided, hey, we're going to have the biggest exercise, the biggest training simulation exercise we've ever had at the U.S. Capitol a few days before Thanksgiving, right here smack dab in the middle of the holidays, right after Israel enters into war with several Middle Eastern countries, right as, you know, we got these pro-Palestine protesters trying to break into the White House and into the Democratic National Committee headquarters and stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff going on in Washington, D.C. right now. So I find it hard to believe that they just, oh, you know, let's just do a training exercise out of nowhere. It's obvious that they're doing this for a reason. We just don't know what that reason is. Let me know what you think the reason is, though, down in the comments below. While you're down there, if you're feeling generous, you could drop a super thanks. It goes a long way into supporting this channel. Or you can support my channel for free by sharing this video on social media, hitting that like button, subscribing, ringing that notification bell. And as always, I'll talk to you all very soon in the next video.